Have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, well-known private sector leader John Mahfood is calling for job cuts in the public sector in order to stimulate growth in the economy.
Freeing up workers in the public sector and making them available to the private sector is not a bad thing.
The opposition PNP is pushing to be reinstated as chairman of parliamentary committees.
And the opposition is condemning the government for not walking out on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
To remain seated while others registered protest is a clear departure from that proud tradition.
The release of the census is delayed again.
3 found guilty in $200 million in sports fraud case.
In news from the rest of the world, the UN Security Council has voted to authorize a larger international force to help stop escalating violence in Haiti.
A senior Hamas figure says the group is not likely to accept U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza.
In headline sports, 2 Jamaicans received senior West Indies retainer contracts.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the BOJ is estimating the economy grew by between 3 and 4% in the third quarter of this year. The central bank's senior deputy governor, Wayne Robinson, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should persons be barred from running for political office while holding a government job? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the PNP is accusing the government of failing to stand with Palestine at the recent UN General Assembly. This after Jamaica remained while scores of diplomats walked out on the Israeli Prime Minister. Barbadian attorney and secretary of Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine, Lou Hanuman, attorney Bert Samuels, and associate professor of language and culture at UTEC, Dr. Rohan Lewis, will join us.
At 7, a senior Hamas figure has told the BBC that the group is likely to reject U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. You'll hear more.
At 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre MacDonald.
And at 9, it's Affairs of the Heart with Rodney Campbell.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevaNews.ai, and on the Reva News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, September 30, 2025.
The hour is brought to you by the KFC Value Menu. Grab a chicken box, famous bowl, crunch sandwich, or small popcorn chicken with combos starting at just $620. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Well-known Jamaican businessman and former president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, the JMEA, John Mahfood, is calling for significant job cuts in the public sector in order to move the country's growth agenda forward. He made the call in a media release earlier this week. With the JLP securing a third term in office amidst persistent low growth, the businessman says it cannot be business as usual. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
The former JMEA president says the Jamaican economy cannot afford another 5 years of stagnation. According to Mr. Mahfood, many Jamaicans still recall the much-touted JLP promise of 5 in 4. That's 5% GDP growth in 4 years, which never materialized. He says with a renewed mandate, it would be folly for the government to simply continue business as usual and expect a different result. Mr. Mahfood says urgent action is needed. He outlined 9 measures he believes can jumpstart the economy. The first is reducing the cost of the public sector from 13% of GDP to 10% over the next 5 years. He says Jamaica's public sector wage bill has swelled after recent compensation reviews, which is crowding out resources that could otherwise fund development programs. It's for this very reason that Mr. Mahfood says the government cannot afford to increase public sector wages at this time. He's also calling for lower interest rates to spur productive investment. Mr. Mahfood says the present high-rate regime is strangling the productive sector. Only yesterday, the country's central bank held its key policy rate at 5.75%, but commercial banks have been slow to reduce their lending rates. He says it's not justified based on the present low rate of inflation and significant foreign exchange reserves in hand. Mr. Mahfood wants alignment with inflation and productivity. He says any increase in the minimum wage must be supported by an increase in the productive sector, or it will make the country uncompetitive. The former JMEA boss is also calling for unprecedented investment in education, health, and security. He says the people of Jamaica have endured more than 10 years of sacrifice in order to reduce the debt to GDP ratio. He says it's time to release the pressure on the people and provide them with a better quality of life. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mahfood argues that those who are cut from the public sector can easily find employment in the private sector.
Well, that is probably what is likely to happen. In this instance of full employment, freeing up workers in the public sector and making them available to the private sector is not a bad thing. But what we have is a situation where we have a bloated public sector and a shortage of skilled workers in the private sector.
According to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, as at April, the country's unemployment rate was 3.3%. That's an historic low. It's also well below what is statistically accepted as full employment. Mr. Mahfood says there needs to be a consolidation and streamlining of services within the public sector to free up valuable resources.
That hasn't happened. There is still overlap of services, and the public sector wage bill at 13% is, way above what it's supposed to be. And the question is, how do you bring it down to a more acceptable level like 10% in that region? So part of it has to be in terms of realigning the public sector with personnel, increasing the efficiency, implementation of shared services, and so on. So we are in a position to also give reasonable wage increases to those people in the public sector area. And we are not able to do that now because it is still at a very high cost to the country.
John Mahfood, former president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association.
Leader of opposition business in the House of Representatives, Philip Paulwell, is pushing for the reinstatement of opposition MPs as chairman of parliamentary sessional committees. Paulwell says that with the reduced number of government members, it's unreasonable to bar the opposition from chairing many of the committees. He was speaking with Nationwide News following an orientation exercise for parliamentarians today. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
With Parliament back in session, Leader of Opposition Business in the House of Representatives, Philip Paulwell, has requested that the chairmanship of several sessional committees return to the opposition benches. Mr. Paulwell says he's in talks with his government counterpart, Floyd Green, to make this a reality.
We are insisting, and we have made the plea already. We intend to carry it through. The government is going to be hard-pressed because they don't have much of a backbench anymore. We believe that it is in good order for us to continue that practice that was started by Mr. Golin, where opposition members chair these oversight committees. We are going to make sure that these committees are active, that they meet, and that their membership is enlivened by this new energy that we have. So I hope that when we meet next week, we'll be able to resolve that very important issue.
The convention of allowing opposition members to chair sessional committees was initiated by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding in 2007 and continued by Portia Simpson Miller. But it was suspended by Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the start of the 2020 parliamentary term. Dr. Holness accused the opposition of focusing solely on the work of the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee to the detriment of all others. He said this focus was done in an attempt to score political points against the government. But Mr. Paulwell says this is far from the case. He argues that the convention works in favor of good governance and accountability.
The aim is not to embarrass the government. The aim is to ensure that policies are implemented. And where we see deficiencies, we have to call it out. And I think it is in the best interest of the government to have such an opposition playing that role. It will make the government perform better. It will make the government far more efficient. It is not about embarrassing the government. It's about ensuring that we have good government and effective government.
Mr. Paulwell also outlined the need for several changes to the parliamentary standing orders.
We have to now, having the experience that we've had, enlarge the role of the opposition. We have to make some of the issues far more relevant. We have to, for example, end the business of questions and answers. It cannot be that you ask a question today and you have to wait many months to get an answer. So that particular standing order will have to be amended. Private member's motion. We have to ensure that there are timelines now, whereby when a motion is presented to the Parliament, you have action for it. And that's the reason why some people believe that the Parliament is irrelevant and doesn't apply to them. We are trying to make sure that in amending the standing orders, that people will see a far more effective Parliament.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Paulwell says he expects to have a good working relationship with Speaker of the House of Representatives, Juliette Holness. The PNP objected to both Mrs. Holness or former Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Philibert assuming the position of Speaker. During the recent election of Mrs. Holness as the new Speaker, the PNP remained silent and refused to provide the traditional support from the opposition benches. But Mr. Paulwell says it's now time to move forward in the interest of the Jamaican people.
No, man, there is a speaker in the chamber, and we will accord the speaker the respect that is due to the speaker, and we're moving forward.
Philip Paulwell, leader of opposition business in the House of Representatives. He was speaking with Nationwide News on Tuesday.
And the opposition People's National Party is accusing the government of failing to stand with Palestine at the recent United Nations General Assembly in New York. Jamaica remained seated while scores of diplomats from other countries walked out in protest as soon as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu began addressing the assembly. Opposition spokesman on Foreign Affairs Donna Scott Motley says Jamaica sent the wrong message.
Jamaica has always been respected internationally for standing firmly on matters of justice and human rights. To remain seated while others registered protest is a clear departure from that proud tradition. Our silence sends a wrong signal to the international community and to the Palestinian people who continue to suffer.
The Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith has explained the decision was consistent with long-standing diplomatic practice. She stressed that Jamaica's practice is to be a voice of reason through dialogue and engagement. But Mrs. Scott Motley is rejecting that defense.
The government's passivity weakens Jamaica's moral voice and undermines our legacy of courage. The People's National Party reaffirms our commitment to a foreign policy guided by justice, human dignity, and respect for international law.
That's Donna Scott Motley, the opposition spokesman on Foreign Affairs. Now, a 4-hour-long search on Tuesday yielded no additional details on the whereabouts of 12-year-old Manchester High student Jaden Smith. The search was led by a team of firefighters, police and volunteers. Young Jaden has been missing since Friday afternoon. The effort to find him has been complicated by prank calls. Robian Williams reports.
Jaden was last seen leaving school wearing his khaki uniform and brown shoes. He's of dark complexion, slim built, about 5 feet tall. He hails from Wales in Newport, Manchester. Jaden's family say they've been receiving prank calls about his whereabouts. On Tuesday, a search party went door to door in the Perth area of Mandeville. District officer at the Mandeville Fire Station, Fitzroy Donaldson, says the search is expected to continue on Wednesday.
Well, we started the search operations with 13 members of staff. Some are on duty. Quite a few of them are volunteers that came on their day off to volunteer their services for this cause. We initially started our search operations in Perth Estate. That's the housing scheme, the new housing scheme on the outskirts of Mandeville. We conducted some searches in the empty houses that are over there, and we came up short. He was not there in that area. We got some information that he might have been on the Perth Drive in Mandeville. We visited that area and we still came up short.
Mr. Donaldson is appealing to citizens to be on the lookout for Jaden.
Clearly, some persons may be spreading misinformation which we don't want at this time. However, we implore the person to look out and see if he's on the road just wandering around. Just look out for him. We have not found any credible information because we have not seen him on any cameras with our own eyes. So we implore persons in the area to just look out for him.
Anyone knowing Jaden Smith's whereabouts is asked to contact the Newport Police at 876-965-7253, the 119 police emergency number, or the nearest police station. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Do it for your best life. Right. Go check your HIV status. Right. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom. Coulda husband, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Right. Do it for your best life. Right. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life.
And continuing the news, Jamaica remains at Tier 2 in the U.S. Global Trafficking in Persons report. In its 2025 report released on Monday, the U.S. State Department says despite efforts, the Jamaican government still falls short of the minimum standards for the elimination of human trafficking. More in this report from Shalois Michael.
Tier 2 means although Jamaica does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, it is making significant efforts to do so. The United States credited Jamaica for a number of efforts to eliminate the crime over the last year. It says this includes convicting 2 traffickers, ordering one of the convicted traffickers to pay restitution, and sentencing convicted traffickers to punishments that involved significant terms of imprisonment. It also hailed the government for launching an online training for frontline officials on trafficking indicators, identifying victims and locating resources for victims. But the U.S. says the efforts were simply not enough to be removed from Tier 2. It says the government conducted fewer investigations and decreased funding for victim protection services. As an example, it says officials opened investigations into 39 cases, 38 involving sex trafficking, and 1 involving an unspecified form of trafficking. It says this was a decrease from the previous reporting period when officials opened investigation into 61 cases. It also took issue with the slow pace of the cases. The U.S. says the progress at which the matters moved through the courts impacted efforts to hold the traffickers criminally accountable and deterred victims from serving as witnesses. As it relates to protection, the Department of State says the government assisted 23 people, including 10 confirmed sex trafficking victims, 13 potential sex trafficking victims, and 2 labor trafficking victims. But this is fewer than the 29 confirmed and potential victims identified in 2023. It says the government also spent nearly $4 million on victim protection services, a stark decrease from the almost 10 million dedicated in 2023. As part of its recommendations, the U.S. State Department is urging the Jamaican government to increase efforts to investigate and prosecute traffickers. It says Jamaica should also develop and finalize a new national policy to combat human trafficking and allocate resources for its implementation. It's also urging the government to increase efforts to provide more victims, whether identified in Jamaica or repatriated from abroad, with comprehensive trauma-informed services, including reintegration support and for the full length of any legal proceedings. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin has postponed the release of preliminary results from the 2022 Population and Housing Census. The findings, which were originally set to be published today, will now be released on October 15. This is the latest in a string of delays that have plagued the release of the census data. Statin says the new date coincides with CARICOM Statistics Day, which highlights the role of statistics in guiding policy and development across the region. Statin says the release will also mark the resumption of its quarterly media briefings aimed at boosting public engagement and transparency. According to the Institute, the census results will provide critical data to guide national planning, resource allocation, and development strategies for years to come.
3 men charged in connection with the $222 million fraud at the Institute of Sports in Sports have been found guilty. They are Chuggiton French Connection Party promoter Andrew Wright and co-conspirators Rudolph Barnes and O'Neill Hope. All 3 were said to have been part of a team of former employees at the Institute who wrote, signed, and cashed fraudulent checks for payees who were neither employees nor contracted workers of the entity. The suspected fraud and other irregularities were detected by InSports in 2017 during an examination of their financial records. On Tuesday, Wright, who served as financial controller for InSports, was found guilty of 13 counts of fraud. Barnes was found guilty of 11 counts, while Hope was found guilty of 8. The men are set to be sentenced on November 21. 2 of 3 women involved in the case were acquitted. The third woman is yet to be found.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The UN Security Council has voted to authorize a much larger international force to help stop escalating gang violence in Haiti. The new force would consist of 5,550 members. It will also consist of 50 civilians who would be paid from voluntary contributions. The resolution is expected to transform the current Kenya-led multinational group into a gang suppression force with the power to detain suspected gang members.
A senior Hamas figure has told the BBC that the group is likely to reject U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. The figure says the plan serves Israel's interests and ignores those of the Palestinian people. The unidentified person also noted that Hamas is unlikely to agree to disarming and handing over their weapons, a key condition of Trump's plan. Hamas is also said to object to the deployment of an international stabilization force in Gaza, which it views as a new form of occupation. Trump's 20-point plan was disclosed following a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. Netanyahu accepted Trump's plan during the White House talks, but Hamas has not yet given an official response.
Now, Afghanistan's main airport is at a standstill as the country grapples with the fallout of a nationwide internet shutdown imposed by the Taliban government. The Taliban has yet to give an official reason for the decision, which took effect on Monday, but it did say it would last until further notice. The UN said it risked inflicting significant harm. Communication with Afghanistan out to the wider world has been severely affected, as have essential services, including banking and payments and access to online education, a lifeline for many women and girls.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, well-known private sector leader John Mahfood is calling for job cuts in the public sector in order to stimulate growth in the economy.
The opposition PNP is pushing to be reinstated as chairman of parliamentary committees.
And the opposition is condemning the government for not walking out on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The release of the census is delayed again.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
From a single hopeful seed to your family's growing need. Nothing is out of reach, no matter how small they seem. Access Financial will always support your dreams. 25 years side by side, 25 years of joy and pride. 25 years is quite a ride, at the heart of helping you thrive.
Access Financial Services, 25 years strong.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's Rodman Powell and Brandon King are among 15 senior men's players who have been issued West Indies retainer contracts effective October 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. It was announced on Tuesday that Board of Directors at Cricket West Indies has approved the recommendation for the players to be retained. The approval comes following the 2024-25 evaluation period with selection based on performance and projected involvement in upcoming fixtures. This contract cycle also includes the continuation and expansion of multi-year agreements designed to reward consistent performers, provide security and strengthen the board's ability to retain top talent. The other senior men who have been contracted are Alec Athenaeus, Casey Carty, Rustin Chase, Justin Greaves, Shea Hope, Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, Shamar Joseph, Gudakesh Moti, Shafane Rutherford, Jaden Seals, Romaria Shepherd and Jomel Warkan. 13 senior women's players were also issued contracts, including Jamaicans Chanel Henry and Stefani Taylor. The West Indies avoided what would have been an embarrassing series sweep against Nepal after winning the final game in their 3-match T20 internationals by 10 wickets at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium on Tuesday. Chasing a modest 123, the Windies got home comfortably at 125 without loss in 12 overs and 2 balls. Opener Amir Jangu starred with a commanding unbeaten 74, while Akimo Gus provided strong support with 41 as the Caribbean team cruised to victory. Nepal struggled to build momentum after opting to bat, and they were eventually dismissed for 122 with 1 ball remaining. Kushal Bertel top scored with 39 against left-arm seamer Raman Simmons 4 for 15 and Jediah Blades 2 for 20. Nepal's 2-1 win was their first series victory over a full member association. Akil Hussain, who is leading the regional side, says the players showed a lot of character to rebound after back-to-back defeat.
To come out and give that sort of performance in the last game, in the end of the series, losing 2 games up front, I think it was an excellent effort and it was quite clinical as well.
Hakil Hussain. Former champions Mona High beat Dunoon Park Tech 2-1 at the Courtney Walsh Oval on Tuesday to remain unbeaten in this season's ISAM Digital Manning Cup competition. The Craig Butler conditioned unit got their goals courtesy of a double from Captain Sean Layton. Casey Butler, he's part of the Mona management, and she says the performance today wasn't their best, but despite the defeat.
Well, I think it was a great performance. However, it wasn't at all our best possible performance. We have a lot of potential as a team, so we're going to try to regroup and come back even better.
All right, she said despite the victory, the performance just wasn't their best. Now, Jamai Pettigrew, he's head coach of Dunoon, and he says despite the defeat, his team gave a good effort.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of these boys this afternoon, and after coming off a defeat on Saturday, these young players came this afternoon in the heat and the sun and came, Coach Greg and myself working assiduously with them. They're a young team, and we're extremely proud of them this afternoon.
That's Jamai Pettigrew. Here are updates on other games in progress. Listen to this. Jamaica College, they're leading Spanish Town High School by 16 goals to nil. Hydel, they lead Jonathan Grant by 2 goals to 1. Excelsior and St. Diego are goalless, and Stats lead Vauxhall by 2 goals to 1. Former champions Bayern Munich and Real Madrid were in smashing form in European Champions League action on Tuesday. Munich crushed Paphos FC of Greece 5-1 away, with England captain Harry Kane bagging a brace. Madrid also produced a 5-star performance in putting away Kairat Almaty of Kazakhstan 5-0 thanks to a Kylian Mbappe hat-trick. Atletico Madrid also grabbed 5 against Eintracht Frankfurt. It was a tough day in Turkey for Premier League leaders Liverpool. They crashed 1-0 to Galatasaray. The Nigerian international Victor Osimhen scored the winner from the spot on 16 minutes.
It's Osimhen against Alisson. And it's 1-0 Galatasaray.
Chelsea won 1-0 at home against Benfica.
Neto will chip across it. O'Reilly has got Nacho, and it's turned in from Rios. It's an own goal. Chelsea get the opener they craved. Great delivery to the back post from Neto. And unfortunately for Benfica, it's an own goal as Chelsea hit the front.
Inter Milan also won. They beat Slavia Prague by 3 goals to 0. Their captain, Lautaro Martinez, was on the score sheet. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:32.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Hey, did you hear? JUTC just launched Rural Express routes.
Really? Where to?
Travel to and from Kingston with direct routes to Ocherios, Montego Bay, Negril, Mandeville, Maypen, and coming soon, Port Antonio.
Wow, that sounds convenient, but must be pricey.
Not at all. Special introductory fare just $2,000. Except for Maypen, that's just $1,500. The JUTC Rural Express is here. Your ticket to comfort, connection, and convenience at a price that fits your budget. Whether it's family, school, or a weekend getaway, travel to Jamaica's top destinations with ease and enjoy a smooth, stress-free ride. Visit our social media at JUTC Ltd or log on to www.jutc.gov.jm for schedules.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell you if it do it for you, do it for you. Every time you a link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life.
60 years strong and just getting started. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica proudly presents its annual business conference, the highlight of its 60th anniversary year. Join them Thursday, October 9 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Hear from keynote speaker, CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Mr. Livingston Morrison, plus top industry leaders on global trade, the evolving CFO role, and AI in accounting. Don't miss it. Register by October 4 at icaj.org.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Sir Hughes.
Good. Well, we're going to begin this afternoon with the economy. That central bank report, the Bank of Jamaica, estimating that the economy grew by between 3 and 4% in the third quarter of this year. It also announced its plans to maintain the key policy lending rate at 5.75% due to the current trend of low inflation and the other developments and trajectory in the economy. Robin Williams has more on that.
Following the major economic shocks brought on by adverse weather for much of 2024, the economy has bounced back, ending March with growth at 1.4%. The Bank of Jamaica is now anticipating a greater expansion in the third quarter of 3 to 4% compared to the corresponding period for 2024. In context, this was the same period in which Jamaica was severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl, which struck just south of the island in June of 2024. The BOJ says the continued expansion is consistent with a tight labor market and anecdotal information on elevated wage growth. Growth in the economy is also expected to be maintained over the next 2 years. A 3 to 4% growth rate is significant in an economy that was averaged just 1.4% between 1967 and 2024. Meanwhile, the BOJ for the fourth straight month has kept its policy rate unchanged at 5.75%. It says this is within a context of continued low domestic inflation, global uncertainties, and evolving interest rate trajectories in major developed countries. The central bank says while headline inflation of 1.2% in August 2025 is below the bank's target range of 4 to 6%, core inflation continues to track within the target range. It says the temporary factors that caused low headline inflation in August 2025 were primarily related to improvements in supply conditions. In particular, agricultural prices during the month were lower than a year earlier when prices rose due to a negative impact of Hurricane Beryl on domestic crop production. Recent developments suggest that headline inflation will continue to track below the lower limit of the bank's target range for the remainder of 2025. However, it should return to the target range by the March 2026 quarter. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Robian. Well, to discuss further, we are going to be joined by Senior Deputy Governor at the BOJ, Wayne Robinson. Good afternoon, Sir Robinson.
Hi, good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon,
Cliff, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon to you, sir. But I note, Sir Robinson, that this 3 to 4% is slightly higher than what you had previously anticipated back in August. What has caused that upward adjustment?
Are you referring to the estimated expansion?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Well, it's not significantly different, but this is just based on just new information that has come in. But I think the overall story means, though, that this is reflecting recovery from the impact of Beryl last year. Beryl hit in July, and we saw significant impact in the September quarter, particularly for agriculture and across a number of sectors. But based on the information that has been coming in, certainly since the beginning of this year, the agriculture sector seemed to have recovered pretty strongly and pretty robustly. And of course, we know that tourism has actually bounced back. So based on our estimate, we believe that the economy has pretty much recovered from the impact of Beryl.
And it's now back to where we were at the time of the impact of Beryl.
Pretty much.
So the 3 to 4% should not be seen as any real acceleration in growth above the usual average of 1.2, 1.4% performance that we have had.
Yes, I would agree with that. But again, I think it still reflects, a positive development. I mean, certainly we have been seeing economic growth, in the previous quarter, and Statin should be releasing that actual number very, very shortly. And we expect to see that to be between 1 to 2%. So yes, it's recovery, but it's still a very encouraging signal about what's happening in the economy. Now, of course, we do expect that after this phase, we could be seeing growth settling back down around the 2%. And that just reflects what our view is, what the normal long-run capacity of the economy is.
And on that matter of 2% growth, because that's still relatively better than what we've been experiencing over the last few years, which has pointed out it's been about an average of 1.4%, 1 to 1.4%. So is there an underlying improvement in terms of the rate of growth in the Jamaican economy?
Well, a part of that 2% for this year will pretty much reflect this recovery that we're seeing. So the underlying dynamics, the underlying growth trajectory, it's still pretty much the same, about 1 to 2% when you look at it over a long term. For this year, you're going to be seeing some recovery being reflected in the annual numbers. And so you're still seeing an economy that is growing, that has stable economic conditions broadly. But, you can reflect on, more than 10 years ago, we were actually struggling to see 1% on some occasions. So, it's not where we want it to be. We certainly need to be looking at growth upwards of 3, 4, 5% on a sustained basis. And that requires some of the structural initiatives and reforms that the government has been targeting.
Deputy Governor Robinson, the BOJ in its statement yesterday had a particular line which I want you to explain, if not define for us. Quote, this continued expansion is consistent with a tight labor market and anecdotal information on elevated wage growth. Growth in the economy is expected to be maintained over the next 2 years. Explain for us what is it you're saying with a tight labor market and anecdotal information on elevated wage growth, those two lines in particular.
Well, the unemployment rate, as you know, is at historic low, 3.3%. And again, we're expecting Statin to, in very short order, to give an update on that. And in that respect, we still expect that the unemployment rate will remain low. So one can consider the fact that we are, almost near full capacity where employable labor, and we use the term employable labor, is concerned. And of course, you would have heard the feedback from the productive sectors, tourism, in manufacturing, in the BPO sector, that it's a challenge to find skilled labor in a number of sectors. So that characterizes a situation where we call a very tight labor market, where there is a demand for labor, but we have an issue in terms of the supply, in terms of qualified, skilled labor that is needed.
And that is an inhibitor to growth.
That is an inhibitor to growth, indeed. So it is either, now, you're not going to address this problem overnight. Takes time to build your labor force and the quality of your labor force. So in the very short term, it would mean, well, one, wage pressures will rise as firms demand more labor. And as we indicated in our report, although the rate of increases in average wages have actually come down since last year, we are still getting anecdotal reports of nominal increases of 6% or above. So in the short term, you're going to see some of this impact on wages. In the short term, firms will also have to then utilize more technology in their business to account for whatever gaps or shortages they may face. Alternatively, we may look to actually importing labor in the short term. But again, it's at the end of the day, it signals the challenge that Jamaica has had for many, many years.
We're talking with the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Wayne Robinson, about the BOJ's quarterly report issued yesterday. After the break, Deputy Governor Robinson, the bank says it is maintaining its key policy rate at 5.75% for the fourth consecutive month. Why? When are we going to get a break on that? And what are you going to be doing about the banks not moving in step with you after the break?
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:46.
Birdshot fried chicken always ready. Birdshot, original crispy. Birdshot, Cajun spicy. Birdshot, a barbecue. Birdshot, we are go a Birdshot.
The temperature brought to you by Birdshot Fried Chicken in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios is...
It's 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and it's 27 in Ocho Rios.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Homeowners Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are speaking with Deputy Governor at the Bank of Jamaica, Wayne Robinson. They're expecting significant growth in the Jamaican economy come end September. That's 3 to 4%, while believing that will be underpinned by improvements in the agricultural sector as well as tourism. We now move to the very, very contentious topic of policy and interest rates. The bank holding its policy rate as at the end of this month at 5.75%, much to the consternation to a lot of business owners. And we have with us, as I said, Wayne Robinson. So what is the thinking behind holding the policy rate at that point, despite, as we understand it, very, very low inflation in the Jamaican economy?
All right, thanks. That's a very good question, Siobhan. All right, so when we're thinking about monetary policy and what to do with interest rate, we not only look at what is happening now or what has happened over the past month or two where inflation is concerned. We also, very importantly, very critically, we look ahead. Because at the end of the day, that is what matters, what is coming. And bearing in mind as well that when we take a policy action now, the impact doesn't happen immediately. It takes some time for it to happen. So we always have to look ahead at what inflation will likely be. And our technical team, they spend a lot of time and effort trying to paint a picture of actually what inflation could look like over the next 2 years. So the decision rests a lot, not just on existing developments, but on future expected developments. Now, as we had explained in our release, this low inflation, I think, is very positive. It's very positive for Jamaica. But when we analyze some of the factors that have caused it, in our view, these factors are temporary. So one of the biggest drivers, for example, is the recovery in agriculture that we spoke about earlier. So certainly from the beginning of this year, we have been seeing where agricultural prices have been coming down. So when you compare where agricultural prices are today compared to last September or August, when we had the impact of Beryl, agricultural prices are actually lower. So they have normalized. But that effect won't persist over the next couple of months. It will gradually dissipate. And so you will gradually then begin to see inflation on a point-to-point basis gradually rising. And we expect that by the first quarter of next year, the headline inflation will come back into our target range. Now, because, inflation will be affected by these temporary factors and it will be affected by these volatile factors, we have to look through them. We have to look through these temporary fluctuations or shock. And so we also pay attention not only to the headline inflation, to the headline number of 1.2, we strip out from inflation the impact of these volatile commodities, agriculture and core, and energy inflation, so as to get a sense as to what the underlying inflation trend is, which is core inflation. And when you actually do that, you see that core inflation is still within the target range. It is close, yes, to the lower bound, but it still remains in the target range. So we will continue to actually watch the incoming data over the next couple of months, in particular what is happening to the trend in core inflation. And based on how that is trending relative to the lower bound of our inflation target range, that will create the conditions for us to consider our monetary policy stance.
But the big elephant in the room, Governor Robinson, is this is the fourth consecutive month, and despite the urgings of the bank, the governor, the commercial banks are still not budging in easing the pressure on their borrowers. They're not budging. And at what point do they begin to budge? What leverage do you have to get them to budge? Yes? So that the benefits of low inflation, core or headline, we can get a breakout here in our mortgage payments or car payments, or borrowing rates.
Cliff, that has been a concern of us, and we have said so publicly. We really face a problem in that the response rate, as you have said, to our policy movements, either way, whether up or down, is slower than what we anticipate. And this is why we've always said, look, we have a challenge with the monetary policy transmission mechanism. Now, this is not unusual, or there's no comfort. It's not unusual for a country like ours with our state of development of the financial system. We have a structural issue in that the level of competition within the banking system is not as strong as we'd like it to be. As you know, the banking system is dominated by two large banks that controls most of the liquidity because they control most of the deposits. So one of the things we have tried to think about is, well, how can we, encourage and facilitate more competition? In other words, how can we encourage persons to move around within the banking system, to move their accounts? And one of the inhibitors, of course, to that is just the challenge and the time and effort really to open a bank account and then to move a bank account. So we are looking at a centralized, and that challenge is because of the KYC, the Know Your Customer due diligence that banks have to do. We just have to do it because we're a part of an international banking system, which requires that we can actually account for the type of transactions that flows through our system. So we are looking at a mechanism that can actually simplify that process for the banks, reduce the costs and the time to the banks.
When is it likely that we will see that coming into being?
Well, I mean, we're working on that now, and we think probably in another 18 months to 2 years.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, these things take time.
Yeah, but we have been working at it for some time now.
These things take time. I mean, what we're trying to establish for the banks is a utility that can allow them to do all their KYC in a more seamless manner. And this is really a very technical system, and there are different processes and steps that we have to take. I mean, if it can be done early, it will be done earlier. But it is something that we're working on. We're also looking to see how better we can provide information to customers about what different banks are offering. If you can recall, a couple of years ago when we were raising interest rates, we started to publish different the deposit rates that are offered by different banks.
But Governor Robinson, the key, is what you have identified. Yes, giving we, the customer, the ability, the freedom, the ease to move your account. When you get there, that is going to be the real game changer, because you can now look into the eyes of your personal bank and say, I'm gone. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
That is a real game changer. So you disappoint when you tell me another 18 months to 2 years?
Yeah, no, this system takes time to develop.
We started working on this for more than a year, 2 years, going 2 years now.
It's been, I think, about 2023, about, yes.
Yes.
No, but we have to engage in a process of due diligence, of understanding how the different systems work within the banks, clearly, of looking at what happens in other jurisdictions. So there is a lot of preparatory work that has to be done. This is not an off-the-shelf utility that you can just simply get up and implement. We have to have continuous dialogue with the banks, with the various information providers as well, so that they are fully on board. So it does take time.
So, Deputy Governor, I have a question that has been burning at me for quite a while now. Our net international reserves, 6.151 billion, 147, nearly 150% of what is considered internationally required. At what point do we say as a country that the net international reserves do not need to be higher than this? And what is that number? And what do you do when you reach that point?
No, I don't think any country can, determine that there is this fixed figure above which you will not go. Because especially, since COVID in particular, we live in a very dynamic and a very uncertain environment. So you need to ensure that you have adequate insurance in place. You need to ensure that you have an adequate savings account in place. Also, as your economy grows, as you export more, as you import more, you will require more flows. It will in of itself generate more flows. So I don't want to say that there is a magic figure that we must target and beyond which we won't go. Now, of course, the pace of accumulation will vary over time. As I said, if the economy continues to strengthen, if our export sector continues to strengthen, if confidence continues to grow in the economy, then you're going to be having these inflows of foreign currency into the economy, and then the reserves will continue to grow.
I would want to ask the question another way, Deputy Governor Robinson. We have built up our savings account because, listeners, when you hear about the net international reserves, it's really your bank account, what you have put away, your savings. Isn't that so, Governor?
That is exactly what it is.
Right. So,
buffer.
Yes, and you put away your savings, you build your savings account, and you put aside probably $2 this month or this year, and you forego, buying something else, possibly buying another pair of shoes, or if you can afford it, pay down on an apartment. So the question I want to ask, what is it we're giving up? What could we use that money to do? While we are at a place now of some comfort, because $6 billion plus US, that's historically what? High? We've never had that in the bank account of Jamaica for a long time. Governor?
Right. So I won't put it that we are giving up something.
Or not doing something.
What is happening is that the flows into the economy have been buoyant, right?
Yes.
Have continued to grow. Our tourism has continued to grow. Remittances, we saw a significant growth coming out of COVID. It has tapered off, but it still remains at a pretty high level, although it is tapering off. And of course, there are some risks around that. So the inflows continue. So I'm not going to say that we are necessarily giving up something to have this. The other thing as well is that the reforms that we've done, the fiscal reforms and other supporting reforms, have put us in this position where we can attract these flows. You must always remember, though, the government still has debt that it has to pay, still has external debt that it has to pay. You must also remember that, the flows into the economy, they are not smooth, they are not even, they are quite lumpy. And so these swings in the flows will impact the foreign exchange market. And as such, this is then where we come in to try and ensure that there is stability. So, whilst we are in a good position where the reserves are concerned, what it is really telling us is that, well, there are other things now that we need to pay close attention to if we are going to sustain this performance. And at the heart of that is our productivity and our competitiveness. And both are related because we're a small open economy. At the end of the day, for us to continue to grow, for us to prosper, for us to become a rich country, we have to be able to export goods and services.
I'm glad you said that, Governor, because I think what I should have said, what we could be using the reserves to do to increase and improve that productivity. For example, investing more in our human capital resources or people. So could we be building another school that speaks to, for example, STEM, technology and science, and, get that moving, get some more from that. That is what I meant, that we could be using that to invest more, to increase the levels of productivity in the
And
country.
I add to that, Governor Robinson.
Yes, please.
Provide a clarification. Yes, and the government has indicated its focus on human capital development, but the reserves aren't really used to build schools.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
As I say, the reserves are used to provide foreign currency for the government's external obligations, and they're used to buffer the economy during shocks. So that's what reserves are for.
I put this to you, Governor. I apologize. I put this to you because I got this message from a person in business, an economist, and he says, if it is clear that it is way too much than needed to protect the shortage for needed goods, if we think that based on market trends we are earning more and have more FX available when we need it for trade, then why hoard it in the NIR? Because the BOJ effectively borrows money from the system to keep the reserves. So by holding less reserves, they can reduce the cost of funds. For example, you don't hear the US talk about NIR. In fact, they run deficits and effectively print money because of the strength in their economy. As our economy gets better, then international confidence will strengthen even further, and persons will pay less attention to the NIR, and we will have more surpluses. So do you agree with that assessment from an economist?
So let me just provide, and I think that's a good question, and allow me to provide two important clarifications. One, in fact, we do not borrow to build the reserves. Bank of Jamaica doesn't borrow to build reserves. We no longer borrow to build reserves. We build reserves primarily by buying the excess foreign exchange that comes through the foreign exchange market from the foreign exchange dealers.
I think effectively that's what they mean in terms of you take money from the system in order to keep it in the reserves.
Right. So we're not borrowing it. And I think that's an important clarification that needs to be made. When the government if the government raises foreign currency, we'll also buy that from the government. The other thing to remember as well, and again, it's important to understand the role of reserves, that it is our buffer, it is our shock absorber. Now, in a crisis, and there are a number of countries that have seen this, in a crisis, those reserves can actually go pretty quickly. If you can cast your mind back to the early 1990s, to the mid-90s, for a number of Asian countries, they had far more reserves than this. And it went very quickly. Once you're in a crisis, you can lose your reserves. So you always need to ensure that you have to have adequate insurance to buffer your economy.
Got you. Thank you very much, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Jamaica. Yes, Mr. Robinson, Wayne Robinson. He's a senior Deputy Governor at the BOJ. Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson. You must do this more often.
The pleasure is mine.
Same here. Good. Take care. That's it for the cover story. The headlines are next.
The hour was brought to you by the KFC Value Menu. Grab a chicken box, famous bowl, crunch sandwich, or small popcorn chicken with combos starting at just $620. KFC. It's finger licking good.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
7 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Well-known Jamaican businessman and former president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, John Mahfood, is calling for significant job cuts in the public sector in order to move the country's growth agenda forward. He made the call in a media release earlier this week. With the JLP securing a third term in office amidst persistent low growth, the businessman says it cannot be business as usual. The former JMEA president says the Jamaican economy cannot afford another 5 years of stagnation. According to Mr. Mahfood, many Jamaicans still recall the much-touted JLP promise of 5 in 4, that's 5% GDP growth in 4 years, which never materialized. He says with a renewed mandate, it would be folly for the government to simply continue business as usual and expect a different result. Mr. Mahfood says urgent action is needed. He outlined 9 measures he believes can jumpstart the economy. The first is reducing the cost of the public sector from 13% of GDP to 10% over the next 5 years. He says Jamaica's public sector wage bill has swelled after recent compensation reviews, which is crowding out resources that could otherwise fund development programs. It's for this very reason that Mr. Mahfood says the government cannot afford to increase public sector wages at this time. And leader of opposition business in the House of Representatives, Philip Paulwell, is pushing for the reinstatement of opposition MPs as chairman of parliamentary sessional committees. Paulwell says that with the reduced number of government members, it's unreasonable to bar the opposition from chairing many of the committees. Mr. Paulwell says he's in talks with his government counterpart, Floyd Green, to make this a reality.
We are insisting, and we have made the plea already. We intend to carry it through. The government is going to be hard-pressed because they don't have much of a backbench anymore. We believe that it is in good order for us to continue that practice that was started by Mr. Golin, where opposition members chair these oversight committees. We are going to make sure that these committees are active, that they meet, and that their membership is enlivened by this new energy that we have. So I hope that when we meet next week, we'll be able to resolve that very important issue.
Paulwell was speaking with Nationwide News following an orientation exercise for parliamentarians on Tuesday. The convention of allowing opposition members to chair sessional committees was initiated by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding in 2007 and continued by Portia Simpson Miller, but it was suspended by Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the start of the 2020 parliamentary term. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chakama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Beat buck a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship. These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
Good afternoon with your sports report. I am Alex Raby.
And I'm Oreen Buchanan.
We bowl things off with some cricketers. Jamaica's Rovman Powell and Brandon King are among 15 senior member players who have been issued West Indies retainer contracts effective October 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. It was announced on Tuesday that Board of Directors of Cricket West Indies has approved the recommendations for the players to be retained. The approval comes following the 2024-25 evaluation period with a selection based on performance and projected involvement in upcoming fixtures. This contract cycle also includes the continuation and expansion of multi-year agreements designed to reward consistent performers, provide security, and strengthen the board's ability to retain top talent. The other senior men who've been contracted are Alec Athanase, Casey Carty, Ruston Chase, Justin Greaves, Say Hope, Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, Samar Joseph, Gudakesh Moti, Shafrain Rutherford, Jaden Seals, Romara Shepard, and Jamel Warrican. 13 senior women's players were also issued contracts, including Jamaicans Chanel Henry and Stephanie Taylor.
The West Indies avoided what would have been an embarrassing series sweep against Nepal after winning the final game in their 3-match T20 internationals by 10 wickets at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium on Tuesday. Chasing a modest 123, the West Indies got home comfortably at 123 without loss in 12.2 overs. Opener Amir Jangu starred with a commanding unbeaten 74, while Akeem Ogis provided strong support with 41 as the Caribbean side cruised to victory. Nepal struggled to build momentum after opting to bat and were eventually dismissed for 122 with 1 ball remaining. Kushal Bertel top scored with 39 against left arm seamer Raman Simmons 4 for 15 and Jediah Blades 2 for 20. Nepal's 2-1 win was their first series victory over a full member association. Akil Hussain, who's leading the regional side, says the players showed a lot of character to rebound after back-to-back defeats.
To come out and give that sort of performance in the last game, in the end of the series, losing 2 games up front, I think it was an excellent effort and it was quite clinical as well.
Simmons and Blades came in for a lot of commendation from Hussain.
When we looked at the pitch today, totally different pitch. These guys were very pleased to see such amount of grass on the pitch. But with that being said, I thought, they showed that learning took place today and they went out and they just executed.
Akil Hussain.
West Indies Vice Captain Jamel Warrican says they are ready for the upcoming 2-match test series against India. The series is set to begin on October 2 in Ahmedabad, with the second test scheduled for Delhi starting October 10. The left-arm orthodox spinner brings experience and leadership to the squad, especially in the absence of 2 key fast bowlers, Alzari Joseph and Samar Joseph, both sidelined due to injury. With the pace attack weakened, the burden will likely fall on the spin unit, a challenge Warrican welcomes.
Yes, it gives us a lot of confidence, me as a left-hand spinner, but I think they got to play on the day. You got to adapt to the condition and assess the situation ahead of you. So, yes, it's impressive that left-hand spinners have done well against India, but at the same time, you can't too much live in the past. You have also been in the present and just focus on your job at hand.
The 32-year-old has played in India before and is expected to play a central role.
One thing I can remember is the heat, and coming back here is still very hot, so that's something we got to be mindful of. Also, the pitches, probably from day 3 into day 4, start to turn a lot, so we got to be very mindful that the first inning is very, very important and get a good first inning score.
Jamel Warrican.
Former champions Jamaica College registered a crushing 16-0 defeat on Spanish Town High on Tuesday as action continued in the Digicel Manning football competition. Lee Chin led the scoring with 5 goals while Dwayne Berger weighed in with 3. JC has now scored 46 goals from 6 games this season and are atop of Group D on goal difference ahead of Stats, who previously defeated Vauxhall 2-1. The Big Zone A clash at Courtney Walsh Oval ended 0-0 between leaders St. Jago and Excelsior. St. Jago continues to lead the group by 2 points ahead of Excelsior, who have a game in hand. Another former champions, Mona High, defeated Dunoon Technical 2-1 at the Courtney Walsh Oval on Tuesday to remain unbeaten. Captain Sean Layton got both goals for Mona. Casey Butler, part of Mona's management group, says Tuesday's performance was their best despite the 3 points.
Well, I think it was a great performance. However, it wasn't at all our best possible performance. We have a lot of potential as a team, so we're going to try to regroup and come back even better.
Casey Butler. Jamai Pettigrew, head coach of Dunoon Technical, says despite the defeat, his team gave a good effort.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of these boys this afternoon, and after coming off a defeat on Saturday, these young players came this afternoon in the heat and the sun and came, Coach Greg and myself working assiduously with them. They're a young team, and we're extremely proud of them this afternoon.
Jamai Pettigrew. In other games, Hydel defeated Jonathan Grant 3-1, St. Catherine tagged Norman Manley 3-1, and Calabar slammed Hillel Academy 8-1.
Meanwhile, in the Costa Cup action, defending champions Galway Marseille suffered a crushing 4-0 defeat at the hand of title favourites Glenmure in Maypen. In other games, William Knibb turned back Troy 3-0. Black River turned back Petersfield 1-0. Frome and Rassis ended 1-1. St James defeated Greenpond 5-0. Herbert Morrison beat Malden 1-0. Cornwall College ran over Irwin 5-1. And Cambridge beat Anchovy 3-2.
Two European footballers, former champions Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, were in smashing form in European Champions League action on Tuesday. Munich crushed Paphos FC of Greece 5-1 away as England captain Harry Kane bagged a brace. Madrid also produced a 5-star performance in putting away Karat Almaty of Kazakhstan 5-0 thanks to a Kylian Mbappe hat-trick. Atletico Madrid also grabbed 5 against Eintracht Frankfurt. It was a tough day in Turkey for English Premier League leaders Liverpool, who suffered a 1-0 defeat to Galatasaray. Nigerian international Victor Osimhen scored the winner from the spot on 16 minutes.
It's Osimhen against Alisson. And it's 1-0 Galatasaray.
Chelsea won 1-0 at home against Benfica.
Neto will chip across it. O'Reilly has got Nacho. And it's turned in from Rios. It's an own goal. Chelsea get the opener they craved. Great delivery to the back post from Neto. And unfortunately for Benfica, it's an own goal as Chelsea hit the front.
And Inter Milan stopped Slavia Prague 3-0.
Now 20 recipients from 14 high schools across Jamaica on Tuesday became the latest beneficiaries of scholarship grants from the Pocket Rocket Foundation. The announcement of the newest recipients took place at the press conference at the AC Hotel in Kingston. Calabar's discus and shot put record holder Kamari Kennedy was among those receiving scholarships, and the 2025 Carifta Games Austin Seeley Award winner says he's elated to be a part of the foundation.
I feel good. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm going to make the best of it. Well, I have the Class 2 discus championship, and I have 2 character records, shot put under 17 and discus under 17. And I'm also the 2025 Austin Seeley Award winner. It's very difficult, but I still find time to balance them both because I think I need both the school and the athletics, so I balance them pretty well.
Founder and chairman of the foundation, Shelley Fraser Price, says she's pleased with the growth of the foundation since its launch 12 years ago.
I'm truly, feeling grateful for the continued growth of the Pocket Rocket Foundation. 2013 we started, and to see where we have gotten to this point is truly remarkable, and it just speaks to the commitment and dedication of the board members of the Pocket Rocket Foundation, and also the investment of our sponsors, how they continue to pour into the foundation to make all our initiatives a success. And I think also we continue to do what we do because of our student athletes and how it has shaped them and how they are able to transition after they have left the Pocket Rocket Foundation.
Shelley Fraser Price. The 20 new recipients now brings to 113 the number of student athletes who've benefited from the scholarship from the foundation since 2013.
Now to local basketball, as the stage is set for a high-stakes clash on Tuesday evening as the Exed Heat looks to seal the deal when they take on Grand Spin Giants in Game 2 of the GK1 Howard McCarthy Community Basketball League best-of-3 finals at the stadium courts. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. The Heats currently lead the series 1-0 after an impressive 84-69 win in Game 1. Their head coach Ron Robinson says the job is far from finished.
They're a good rebounding team, especially their leader and growth person, Malik Anderson, and Kevin Lawrence and performance and offensive board.
Meanwhile, Giants head coach Andrew Wilby remains upbeat despite the 15-point loss in the opener. He believes his team still has what it takes to turn the tide.
It's a must-win for us. The players know exactly what they have to do. They know exactly what they have to play. They can't go making any mistakes. They have to just go out and execute. We have a plan, so we're going to work with the plan that we have to come out victorious tonight. What we need to upgrade is our defense. We need to step up our defense. We play a way better defense. We have to capitalize on going inside. The bigs are weaker than their guards, so we have to make use of our inside presence and score the basketball from the inside.
Andrew Wilby.
Finally, in cycling, national cycling coach Carlton Simmons is confident that Team Jamaica has what it takes to make a strong showing at the 2025 Caribbean Elite Road Cycling Championships scheduled to take place in Belize from October 9 to 13. Simmons described the 4-member team selected to represent the island as very strong and well prepared to take on the region's best in the upcoming championships, which will feature riders from 15 Caribbean nations. The Jamaican squad includes seasoned cyclists Andre Ramsey, Jaquan Dixon, Melvin McFarlane and Laurie Sharp, a mix of youth and experience that Simmons believes can deliver results on the road.
It's a solid team. Laurie Sharp, as you know, is the defending champion in the Women Elite. Yes, she is recovering from an accident, but I think she'll be good to go. On the male side, Andrew is not his first rodeo. Jaquan is not new to the space as well. So I think all in all, we'll be feeling a very strong team going into the championships because the aim is to qualify the country for the CAC Games next year. So it will be all hands on deck to make sure that that's a reality.
The championships carries extra weight this year as riders will be vying for qualifying spots at the 2026 Caribbean and Central American Games set for Santo Domingo from July 24 to August 8. To book a place at the CAC Games, Team Jamaica must finish in the top 6 at the Belize event.
The country will qualify based upon the overall placement. So the aim is to win the event for sure, but also to get into the top 6. It will give us a seat at the table for the CAC. We had a very good session this morning, doing some motor pacing at the Velodrome. So it's looking good. I mean, the recovery, the strength, endurance, all facets of what is required going into the championships, I would say is on point at the moment.
Carlton Simmons, I'm Alex Swaby.
I'm Maureen Buchanan. That's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:25.
Quiet on the set. Want you to read the teleprompter. Alright?
Yes. Okay.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Deposit Insurance in a Minute. Deposit Insurance is a system designed to protect depositors in the event that a bank or other deposit-taking institution fails.
It is a key part of a country's financial safety net, ensuring that if something goes wrong, depositors don't lose all their hard-earned money.
Big man thing, we never know say them thing exist.
JDIC is the government entity that protects depositors by insuring their deposits up to 1.2 million. So even if a bank fails, you won't lose everything.
A good something this one because me can't take no surprise with my money.
You can't say that again.
JDIC, protecting your deposits,
Securing your future.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me. Now, PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
You wanna do your thing with your queen or your king?
Or I get a little frisky that make you flex risky.
PrEP, are you extra bucketed?
To help you say HIV negative.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV. PrEP tablets available at your clinic from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special greetings to our YouTubers on the YouTube platform. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're asking you to weigh in live in the comments section on this Public Opinion. So, there's been much talk concerning a particular event that took place, a particular thing that took place in recent weeks. Dr. R.J. Dixon, a junior resident at Maypen Hospital in Clarendon, he has been interdicted by the Southern Regional Health Authority for running as a candidate in the September 3 general elections. Now, Dixon was notified by a letter dated September 16 that he was interdicted after his participation in the general elections. It was found that his participation contravened public sector staff orders, which bars such workers from expressly participating in politics in any elections at any level. The interdiction notice bears the signature of a Director of Human Resource Management and Development at the Southern Regional Health Authority, to which Dixon is employed. Now, that body operates on policy directives from the Ministry of Health. In Public Opinion this evening, we're putting it to you. We're asking, should persons be barred from running for political office while holding a government job? That's the pub up. Should persons be barred from running for political office while holding a government job? I must point out that I was duly informed, yes, that it is not law. It is a staff order, so it's regulation. So we're asking, should persons be barred from running for political office while holding a government job? Let me see if I can get on our Facebook platform, where Vivian Hanchard is saying, refer to the terms of employment. If the conditions of employment to which you agree upon assumption of duties dictate you shouldn't, then you shouldn't. Abiding by rules and regulation is a clear indication of how one would conduct oneself if appointed to higher office. Denville Mulling says, conflict of interest, they must resign. However, consideration can be given if that candidate loses and decides to reapply to his or her former workplace on the grounds that the individual will not have any further chance at reapplying to said company should he or she resign a second time. Carlington Bartley is saying, I think we should have political appointment for some post. This way, when there's a change of government, no one has to tell anyone to resign. Public will also get better service from these entities because their employment depends on the government remaining in office. Let me try to understand that. So he's saying we should have political appointment for some post. Okay, Audley Phillip is saying, I think that the proper thing to do is to apply for special leave of absence, which should be granted pending the outcome of the poll. I believe that no citizen should be deprived of an opportunity to run for elective office if he or she so desires. Donna Smith says, definitely it's a conflict of interest. They should vacate their position in case they win. There will be someone in waiting to fill that position. Andre Green is saying, so when the councillors them run for MP, isn't that a government job? For example, the mayor of Mandeville ran and lost and returned to get back his mayoral job. What go for the geese, good should be the same for the gander as well, says Andre Green. Lisa Smith says, the question should be, did he know and ignore protocols? The law has been there for ages. Well, as I said before, it's not necessarily law. It's rules, regulations. Kenrick, it's a staff order. Kenrick Johnson is saying his understanding of civics says no. I am more concerned about civil servants campaigning for politicians, especially in the same community they work, instead of simply doing the government job they were employed to do. Philip Jackson says, yes, definitely in Jamaica, the way we practice our politics, it would. Because for concern, we can be very partisan. Yeah. Joan Violet is saying that you must abide by the staff orders. Juliet Richards, yes, it's a conflict of interest. That's why they have rules and how it must be done. Can't be two ways. Yeah, Winston says, yes, there should be a law preventing a person who currently holds office to run for a parliamentary seat. He's saying he was very surprised to know that Donovan Mitchell and Norman Scott, both mayors of Mandeville and Spanish Town respectively, ran for the office of MPs without resigning their mayoral posts. And he puts in bracket only in Jamaica. Let me see on YouTube. Is the policy of Sarah so once him break it, he must be penalized? He would have signed off on that order. Thank you, Gertrude. Truly appreciate it. Same for Mayor of Spanish Town. PB is saying, thank you, Hayworth. If the staff order says so, then persons must comply, says Wilbert Davis. Grace Bailey says, yes, they should. Jacqueline Thomas. Yeah. That's great, Jacqueline. I see your message. Let me see if I can get in a few more on our Instagram platform. Shenzi is saying no, but if you win, then naturally you should resign. Junior is saying if that's the case, then people should be barred from... Wow. Wow. Yeah, that went off a little. Tonya is saying a sub-politician that holds a ministerial role can't run again. Technically, they are in government's job too. Context will be important and maturity of the person in that office. The rules may need to be modified to reflect truly what the initial framers wanted. A public sector free from partisan sabotage. Yeah? A lot of comments coming in on this one. Gloria Johnson says running for a parliamentary post is different from being appointed to such post. She's saying follow the procedures and rules. Yeah. Nadine Dockery is questioning why did he adhere to those policies? That's too much conflict of interest. No wonder we have so many sabotage. Interesting indeed. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Sterling Asset Management is advising investors to carefully map out their next moves as the government of Jamaica's 9.25% bond comes due on October 17, 2025. The $75 million instrument, heavily held by both retail and institutional investors, is considered a major financial event for the local market. Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Sterling Asset Management, Tonian Nita Elliott, says with this bond maturing, investors across the board will soon have substantial funds in hand. However, she warns with global economic indicators suggesting a potential slowdown and interest rates having fallen significantly since this bond was issued, careful planning is important. Now, investors need to be strategic about where they reinvest to protect their capital and maximize returns. Sterling says it will be reaching out to its clients who hold the bond, but is also encouraging investors who purchased through other institutions to start reviewing their reinvestment strategies now. Further afield, YouTube has agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit brought by Donald Trump, filed after the video platform suspended his account in the wake of the January 6 attack on U.S. Capitol. The settlement from the video streaming giant's parent company, Alphabet, which also owns Google, comes after social media sites X and Facebook also agreed to pay Trump for suspending his accounts. Trump had accused YouTube and other tech companies of political bias, claiming they had unfairly censored conservative voices after the Capitol riot in 2021. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 22 cents to buy $1 US, 216 Jamaican dollars and 87 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 116 Jamaican dollars and 51 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianna Williams. Good evening.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living.
Give your team a glow up at the 2025 Business and Personal Etiquette Conference on November 6th at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Procure the presence, polish, and professionalism to make your team unforgettable. Hosted by Make Your Mark Consultants in partnership with Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Nationwide 90 FM, Main Event, and more. Register now at makeyourmarkgroup.com or call 876-978-6001 for the Business and Personal Etiquette Conference.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
It's Monday. Get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The E-Zone is here for you.
With the Stinger Honey Bee.
And Karim Boyatings.
From 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brainbusters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks. Now, the opposition People's National Party is accusing the government of failing to stand with Palestine at the recent United Nations General Assembly in New York. Jamaica remained seated while scores of diplomats from other countries walked out in protest as soon as the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu began addressing the assembly. Now, the opposition spokesman on Foreign Affairs, Donna Scott Motley, says Jamaica sent the wrong message.
Jamaica has always been respected internationally for standing firmly on matters of justice and human rights. To remain seated while others registered protest is a clear departure from that proud tradition. Our silence sends a wrong signal to the international community and to the Palestinian people who continue to suffer.
Now, the foreign minister said that the decision was consistent with long-standing diplomatic practice, and she stressed that Jamaica's practice is to be a voice of reason through dialogue and engagement. Mrs. Con Motley is rejecting that defense.
The government's passivity weakens Jamaica's moral voice and undermines our legacy of courage. The People's National Party reaffirms our commitment to a foreign policy guided by justice, human dignity, and respect for international law.
That's Donna Scott Motley, opposition spokesman on Foreign Affairs. Joining us now to discuss this issue, Attorney at Law Bert Samuels, another attorney based in Barbados, and Secretary of the Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine, Lalu Hanuman, and Associate Professor of Language, Culture and Society at the University of Technology, Dr. Rohan Lewis. Good afternoon, good evening.
Good afternoon.
All right. Bert Samuel, let me start with you. What do you make of what happened at the UN?
Well, I want to be careful, I gather, that our social media footprint and what we say can be used against us too. Yes. But I'm not going to keep quiet. Mandela said we shouldn't because we're on the side of the enemy if we keep quiet. It is embarrassing to see that conservative countries like England, France are now recognizing the Palestinian government. And we are afraid to put our necks out there to support it. We have always supported, people who are oppressed. I mean, Jamaica was one of the first countries to lend support to the struggling South Africa, and hence that's why Jamaica was one of the first places that Mandela came to pay tribute. So that we are not going with the tradition of standing on the side of justice. When we were in slavery, we would have wanted other countries to blockade England and come on our side. So that because of our own history, I think we are failing ourselves.
But Bert Samuels, having recognized the state of Palestine, which Jamaica did in April last year, what would the walkout have achieved? The foreign minister seems to be suggesting that it wouldn't have been substantive in terms of advancing the issues.
Well, I think that the speech that was about to be given was being given by a prime minister that I couldn't bear to sit and listen to him talking based on what has happened to the people of Gaza, etc. So I couldn't sit there without joining those who left. So I think that my conscience couldn't allow me to sit and listen to him. What could he say when it's talk about the mass murder of people, the Gaza people, and genocide? By any definition, it's genocide.
Lalu Hanuman, how do you see it?
Greetings from Barbados. I agree with what the brother is saying there. We were in the vanguard of the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. Despite the hostility of Reagan and Margaret Thatcher back in the 80s, we took a principled position, and we ought to be taking a principled position now. It's more than embarrassing what Holness did. It's totally reprehensible. in effect, giving freedoms to a neo-fascist, which is whom Benjamin Netanyahu is.
So I hear you on the matter of principle, but many Jamaicans, or some Jamaicans who have been defending the move to sit in and not walk out on the street, say, look, the world we live in now, principle can only get us so far, because we're dealing with a world power that's headed by a man, as Bert Samuel said at the beginning, or implied at the beginning, is known to be vengeful, and he may turn his wrath on Jamaica and small states like Jamaica and Barbados, and we really just don't have the wherewithal to stand up to the United States. How do you respond to that?
Well, we are small island developing countries, but we have to take principled positions, as the brother was saying, in terms of slavery, in terms of apartheid. If we allow bigots to dominate, then we'll pay the price down the road. Gaza, in effect, is happening right here in the Caribbean now, with what's happening with the Trump administration blowing up those small boats in the just off the Trinidadian coast there. It's a Gazan logic. It's a Gazan reality that's happening here. International law is totally being ignored. It's happening on the high seas, which is a breach of international law. And if we stand complacently and just on the sidelines, it's only a matter of time before our head is on the chopping block, and there'll be nobody left to stand to support us, because everybody else would have gone, been destroyed. So we have to take a principled position. This is how fascists like Hitler and so on came to power. People kept appeasing him, rather than taking a principled position. This guy, Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, he's the only person really who stood up in the United Nations and said anything of consequence, calling for an international army to go into Gaza to protect the Palestinian people there. That was a really positive statement he made.
And of course, you know the consequence of that. The U.S. government, I believe, is cancelling his visa. Right. Yeah. Dr. Lewis, principle or pragmatism?
Well, I think both gentlemen have spoken to the fact that we're living in a different global space now, where the focus is on consequences of taking certain kinds of positions on the global stage. And I think certainly the Jamaican government is trying to play it very cautiously, because it is mindful of the fact that there may be consequences to any action that is taken, and how the action that's taken can be read certainly by the powers, the global powers that currently are dispensing consequences. In terms of what we can or should do, Mrs. Scott-Burson spoke about the fact that in the past, Jamaica, and certainly the wider Caribbean, has a history of standing with the oppressed, standing with the marginalized. Certainly when we had the issue in South Africa, we were in the vanguard of that protest, because the world was very different. I think a number of countries now are trying to navigate between how do we determine whether our stance will create greater challenges for us and our people, and whether or not we can make our positions very clear elsewhere. I mean, certainly we don't know what else the government of Jamaica is doing in terms of engaging around the critical situation in Gaza. But the government would have chosen not to make a bold public stance, given that its focus is dealing with very specific matters in Jamaica, and it doesn't want or doesn't feel that it can deal with the consequences of getting the wrath of the United States.
Yeah, and Brett Samuels, let me point to two really concrete harms that people say could come. Recently there was the question of the travel advisory, and what the State Department did in terms of revising that advisory. Then there's the matter of visa cancellations, and as well as I do, that Jamaicans value that document. And so I wonder if we're being unfair to the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, in that if they should have taken the sort of public stance, and then there was a hit from a travel advisory that affected tourism, creates an economic downturn, people's visas start getting cancelled. The same people now, perhaps, who are calling on the government to take a more active stand, would then turn on them and say, look what you have caused.
It's a tough one. It's a tough call. Mandela reasoned and said that, your enemies don't have to be my enemies. You referred to the help Gaddafi gave and also Fidel gave to the liberation struggle in South Africa. So apparently, we have always seen the heroes. Our heroes are people who have made great sacrifices. Here's Mandela walking out of 27 years imprisonment and not allowing anyone to tell him who he should show homage to and who he should befriend. Let us not forget that Israel itself supported apartheid and even sent military support and gave them support with military persons. Is this country deserving of or support or scorn? I think the latter is what we should do. But to stand up against the big powers, the current leadership in the United States will not be there forever, but the suffering of the people will be.
If I may jump in there, I think part of the challenge is exactly that. The fact that the government believes that it has a particular mandate now, and it doesn't want to jeopardize that mandate by taking a stance on certain kinds of issues on the global stage that will clearly jeopardize its position for an economy that is so dependent on something, as you mentioned, like tourism. Once you hit that, you're hitting at the heart of what supports Jamaica to a large extent.
Yes.
So I think it's the kind of walking between the raindrops that the government is trying to do there, to see that, it is not going to take position on what it would think of as unnecessary positions on the global stage that would then lead to challenges down the road for the society. Now, that is one side of the discussion. The other side is, what is the government doing in relation to expressing Jamaica's position on the matter? I think we don't have all those details, but I think that is where I think it would be important to find out what is the government doing to push home the Jamaican position, and one that is very clear on the matter.
And of course, again, recognize Palestine as a state. The Prime Minister in his address called for an end to what he described as the horror of the humanitarian crisis. Lalu Hanuman, I can hear some of my listeners saying, look, this is just not Jamaica's fight. It's not Jamaica's fight, and so why do you want to include us in it?
Well, South Africa wasn't Jamaican's fight either, but Jamaica was very involved, as was the rest of the Caribbean, now called CARICOM nations. It wasn't our fight, but as a matter of principle, we joined it. And this is a matter of principle as well. There's a genocide taking place. It's, as our Prime Minister called it, a televised genocide. And also it's mass starvation, deliberately induced mass starvation. We have a duty, we have a moral duty to uphold international law and to uphold human rights. And as I said in my earlier statement, we were in the vanguard of the struggle against apartheid, and we ought to be in the vanguard again here. Given our history of enslavement, and whether it's chattel slavery or indentured slavery, we have an obligation to ensure that human rights globally is upheld. It'd be totally hypocritical of us. We called for reparations, and at the same time, we condone genocide. The two things can't mesh.
But how do we get to the conclusion of saying we condone genocide from simply not walking out?
Well, you're complicit. I mean, it's not just not walking out. Most Caribbean countries, CARICOM countries, Barbados included, and I presume Jamaica, they have a visa-free policy for Israelis. We've had IDF soldiers, Israeli Defense Force soldiers, coming to Barbados on holiday, getting a 3-month visa, and swanning around on our beaches and stuff. We even had the former commander of the Israeli Defense Force come twice to Barbados. We're not taking a principled stand at all. We wouldn't have allowed the apartheid commander-in-chief of the military to come into any of our countries during the days of apartheid. Why are we allowing IDF commanders to come into our countries?
And then isn't that the point? Because my understanding is that Barbados did walk out, but yet you're saying outside of that walkout, what are the concrete steps that have been taken?
Precisely, but walking out is more symbolic. But at the same time, it's quite poignant given the world media is present, and and you can see all the vacant seats when Benjamin Netanyahu is giving his United Nations General Assembly speech. But obviously, more serious actions are needed, like severing diplomatic relations. Belize has suspended diplomatic relations. If little Belize can do that, why can't we? St. Vincent has attending what's called the A Group, which is calling for military intervention into Gaza. It's St. Vincent, little St. Vincent can do that. And they rely on tourism probably even more than Jamaica. If they can do it, why can't Jamaica?
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Bert Samuels, Lalu Hanneman, and Dr. Rowan Lewis. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and that's just it, the performance of the walkout, and you hear Lalu saying, but hey, Israeli soldiers are still vacationing in Barbados. But Mia Mottley and her diplomats did walk out. Here in Jamaica, they're saying that perhaps what we need to do is to impose travel restrictions on the Israelis. I don't know that that's going to fly. I just don't know that's going to fly. I think I get the principle that's at stake, and I get why people want to defend the principle, but the same people I'm willing to bet who are calling for this strong, bold action, the moment Ligani says them lock shop, they are the same people who would turn on Andrew Holness and Kamina Johnson-Smith.
And say, make me lose my visa.
You make me lose my visa. Or see there, tourism get knocked. Or there's no longer any security cooperation between Jamaica and the United States. I don't think in this world we can just look at it from one vantage point.
Yeah.
And heavy is the head. They have to balance a lot of competing interests.
And while history must be a guide, one has to take into consideration the present global realities and power dynamics. And in the 70s, Michael Manley and Fidel didn't have a Donald Trump. They had a Jimmy Carter.
Right.
Yes.
Ronald Reagan.
They had a Reagan, they had a Nixon.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't this vengeful, wicked man, cruel man.
Unmoored by international norms.
Yes.
And,
They didn't have that. Yeah? So and I lived through that period. And you walked proudly as a Jamaican because we were one of the
consequences notwithstanding, and you paid dearly.
We paid dearly for it. Yes. But they, at least the Carters, the Fords, the Nixons, they played by the rules of international diplomacy and for the most part international law. This one, you know what he said today?
I heard him.
That the U.S. military must use American cities as training grounds.
Yes.
No, that is hallowed ground, hallowed policy in America.
Principle.
You don't use American military against the American people.
Yes.
And today he said, use it and be prepared to be tougher and harsher.
Yeah. As I say, I understand the points, but I'm going to come down on the side of pragmatism, and I'm going to come down on the side of Jamaica having to first and foremost in international affairs secure its own interests. That's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
Time for the break.
Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best life.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It's a minute after 7.
Taboo topics.
Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Voyagings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Voyagings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The E-Zone is here for you.
With this thing, Honeybee.
And Kareem Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, by God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide This Morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true. Just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking it.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media. I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
10 minutes after 7 o'clock, we're into the third and final hour now. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
We're going to go to the United States of America because in 5 hours, just under 5 hours, it seems as if the entire U.S. federal government is to be shut down. That's at midnight. Why? 2 funding bills failed to pass in the U.S. Senate within the last hour. That could bring some, but not all, U.S. government services to a temporary halt.
Now, generally in a shutdown, essential workers continue as normal, but government employees deemed non-essential are temporarily put on unpaid leave. Here's more in this report from MSNBC.
Breaking this hour, senators were just voting on a second stopgap bill to fund the government. This is the Republicans' proposed funding bill. It's expected to fail. Last hour, the Democrats' proposed funding bill failed in the chamber. Barring some kind of miracle, in less than 5 hours, the government will shut down. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that roughly 750,000 federal employees could be furloughed per day if a shutdown happens. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says he intends to use this shutdown period to bypass Congress and impose his authoritarian vision on the American people.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
We can confirm now that second bill has failed. And according to Congressman Brendan Boyle, the ranking member of the House Budget Committee, neither he nor his staff were able to identify a legal authority that would allow the president to conduct mass firings during a shutdown. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, hot off that vote. He is a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee.
Senator Coons, the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse. As Alicia just noted, we checked with the Budget Committee. The president is talking about doing something that he does not have the power to do. I would argue that is illegal. One, what is Democrats' plan here? And two, just take us through what to expect over the next couple of hours.
Okay. Thank you, Simone. Great to be on with you again. First, to the point you just made, President Trump threatens to do all sorts of things that he doesn't have the legal authority to do. And in many cases, attorneys general from across the country have taken him to court and won, rolling back a lot of what DOJ did, rolling back cuts and cancellations that have impacted Americans' health care and that have impacted employment in programs that are critical to keeping our country safe and strong. What's going to happen in the next couple of hours? Senators will continue to talk to each other about whether there's any off-ramp, but Democrats are united in seeing this as a fight about health care. President Trump and the Republican majority in the House and Senate have cut tens of billions of dollars out of things that keep Americans healthy, and they've changed the law in ways that's going to increase health insurance costs starting next month, in some cases doubling them. So Republicans I've been talking to recognize that they've done too much, that they're hurting Americans, and it's going to hurt their health care, but they're not willing to make commitments quickly enough or clearly enough to change direction for us to be comfortable that that's good enough for us to keep the government open. If we go ahead and just keep the government open without any change in direction, millions of Americans will get sicker and poorer as the changes to health care get worse and worse. Look, President Trump ran on reducing costs. He's imposing tariffs that are jacking up the prices of drugs that millions of Americans take. Look, Donald Trump ran on reducing prices. He's cut the insurance affordability for tens of millions of Americans more. President Trump ran on making our country healthy again, and he's cut billions of dollars out of the organizations like the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control that help keep us healthy. He's not delivering on those promises, and Democrats are standing up to him and demanding that we reduce or reverse some of these terrible cuts to Americans' health care.
Senator, the president also ran on getting rid of Obamacare. And essentially by increasing that insurance affordability or decreasing insurance affordability for millions of Americans. That's effectively what Republicans will do. They will have reduced or at least to their liking eliminated a very, very bad health care bill and not have to worry about replacing it with anything. Which for me, if this is the fight that this budget is all about, how then do you message to the American people so that when at 12:01 a.m. tomorrow morning, the government shuts down and all of a sudden the things that people need and try to access over the next few days, that they fully understand we are in this space, not because of Chris Coons, senator from Delaware, not because of, Democratic senator from Florida, but because of what Republicans failed to do, and that is come to the table, lay out an argument for what they wanted, address the arguments the Democrats put forward for what they wanted, for what you wanted, and come to a level of compromise so that millions of Americans won't have to suffer.
Michael, you know me. I'm someone who works across the aisle and is always willing to negotiate a better path forward. This fight is simple. It's about Democrats standing up and fighting for Americans' health care, for seeing the direction we're headed and the ways in which President Trump and Republicans in Congress are making decision after decision that makes Americans sicker and poorer and demanding that we change direction. There's going to be some real pain as a result of the government shutdown that I now expect begins at midnight. It means there's going to be millions of folks who serve our nation who won't get paid until the shutdown ends. And that has always moved me in the past to vote to keep the government open. But this time, it is as clear as it's ever been in my life that we have one party that's willing to lay off thousands of folks who research to find cures to kids' cancer, or do research to help find cures to ALS, and to defund those federal agencies, and to keep moving ahead with jacking up the prices on health insurance. We can find a better way forward. I think we can negotiate our way out of this, but I don't think Republicans will take us seriously until their offices start getting flooded with calls from folks who are seeing their health insurance costs go up, and they realize Democrats are willing to stand up and fight for them.
That report from MSNBC.
You know the sad thing about it? Democrats are going to lose the messaging war. They haven't been very good in the era of Trump on messaging.
Yes.
And I don't know.
And they're up against it because Trump is not familiar with accuracy nor truth. He's just not. He's not restrained by, being faithful to what is truthful and accurate. Anything that comes to his mouth, his brain, in that moment, he says it. Yeah?
Elections have consequences.
Absolutely.
And the Americans were warned, and they made their choice. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Come midnight, the U.S. government, federal government, should grind to a halt. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take your calls now. The numbers are 630-937-124, 618-8255.
As of June 1, Jamaica's minimum wage is now $16,000 per 40-hour workweek, up 158% from 2016, marking the highest minimum wage in the nation's history. We are building Jamaica.
The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
19 minutes after 7.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
Hey, did you hear? JUTC just launched Rural Express routes.
Really? Where to?
Travel to and from Kingston with direct routes to Orcharius, Montego Bay, Negril, Mandeville, Maypen, and coming soon, Port Antonio.
Wow, that sounds convenient, but must be pricey.
Not at all. Special introductory fare just $2,000. Except for Maypen, that's just $1,500. The JUTC Rural Express is here. Your ticket to comfort, connection, and convenience at a price that fits your budget. Whether it's family, school, or a weekend getaway, travel to Jamaica's top destinations with ease and enjoy a smooth, stress-free ride. Visit our social media at JUTC Ltd or log on to www.jutc.gov.jm for schedules.
Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sayus.
Good evening, Faithful.
Ricardo, I agree with 100%. Mr. Trump is going to win the messaging war. because Trump is losing in popular support, but the Democrat is far worse. Even though Trump is losing ground, the Democrats are not gaining. That's where the problem is. And hard by the one day you are the Democrat will say. And I did not call for that. You get that job not too long from now. I will forgive Mr. Bert Samuel. But the guest from Barbados, was he recommending what Colombia president asked for, to send troops into Gaza? You have the Arab League, with millions and millions of soldiers. They selected not to send not one troop there. Egypt said they're not sending none. No, they're not sending any. Why should we select to send troops into Gaza? Are these guys crazy?
You make a very telling point. Yes? Why is it that the regional powers, especially the regional Arab powers,
the Arab League,
yes, they have not decided that, listen, they are going to send one soldier in there to protect the people of Gaza? Why? And there's a good reason for it. They don't stand a chance against the military might of Israel.
Not only that, they don't stand a chance. They are not in favor of what Hamas is doing.
Yes.
Because they know that it is Hamas. Right. Marking a genocide technically in Gaza now. But they know that it's Hamas caused it. And Hamas does not always listen to them because they will get the backing from Iran and those other persons.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Israel bombed Qatar the other day. And the Arab League, they are upset. Mm-hmm. And even though they are upset, and one of their fellow Arab League, even up on that, they select not to send a troop.
Mm-hmm.
This guy just love to talk because it's so good to years.
Yeah.
Mr. Samuel say his Pan-Africanism. And Ricardo doesn't like this. Why does he speak of that to send to Sudan and places like those? These guys only love to talk because they're so good on the year, and it's so good to play to come from a base.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man, get real. What the Prime Minister did, they did the right thing. He called for a Palestinian state, even though I don't know how practical that is. He called for the Palestinian state, which I think is the right thing for him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Those that walk out. The only walk out sake. After walk out, what next? What next after walk out?
Mm-hmm.
These guys are just playing, man. I'm not serious, man. Trust me. They are just playing and they are just using you to suit their own narrative. But in practicality, it's nothing behind it, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. This guy needs to do better, man, and think. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Faithful.
Damien, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, please. Good evening to your listeners.
Good evening, sir.
Excellent points there by Faithful. Some of the points that I was about to make. The first one he made about the Arab nations and their own, non-aggressive approach to the Israel-Palestinian situation tells a lot, because historically they have had their issues with Israel. But as it relates to this particular conflict, they have also taken a very careful approach, and that is very instructive. The other thing I want to point out, based on the persons who you had on the show commenting on the issue, when the Jamaican government, I think it was in May of 2024, I believe, they voted along with 142 other countries for the Security Council to favorably reconsider the application of Palestine for membership to the United Nations. I didn't hear any commendations. I didn't hear anybody commending Jamaica for adding their voice to the UN, recognizing Palestine and their application or reapplication for full state membership as the 194th member of the UN.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gave the government any kudos for that. this decision that was taken to not walk out is a prudent one, in my opinion. Because if you are going to be navigating diplomacy, you cannot reject the aggressor in an attempt to be diplomatic. In an attempt to be diplomatic, you have to engage the aggressor while at the same time advocating for the oppressed. Diplomacy, especially when you're a small island developing state, requires prudence and skill to navigate. Jamaica does not have the wielding power of influence. Now, in the 70s, when we had a Cold War and we were aligned with one, group of ideologies, the Soviet Union was a massive force. Isn't that so?
Yes.
Massive force. In geopolitical...
Then it was a bipolar world.
Exactly. It was a bipolar world with the Soviet Union on one side and the United States on the other.
Yes.
Right? So an alignment with that ideology, we had some, some strength of back it. In this global, geopolitical global space that we are now operating, there's a lot of splintering with the United States of America being our closest neighbors of influence. And we have to be careful how we navigate the waters of geopolitics, because as Ricardo pointed out, the same people who are saying you should take a stand and you should do this and you should do that, the moment sanctions are brought against Jamaica, they're going to say the government mash up the country, mash up the economy. Now, of note, when Jamaica supported the Palestinian reapplication for membership, I think it was the foreign minister who gave a statement. And she said that Jamaica's approach is maintaining a balanced position in support of a peaceful resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with a two-state solution. Now, that might be improbable, that guarantees the security of Israel and the right of Palestinians to an independent, viable, and sovereign state with the pre-1967 borders. So that is the position that Jamaica has taken. One of your guests said they don't know what position Jamaica has taken. It's clear the Jamaican government clearly stated their position. A two-state solution with Palestine having an independent and viable sovereign state with pre-1967 borders. So a lot of things are being said that are not consistent with the facts on this matter. And if you give credence to Hamas on one side, which is a militant group that has overtaken the Gaza and has killed many people and is using Palestinians in some regard as shields, then you're on the wrong side of history. If you support Israel on the other side, who has taken a hammer to deal with a fly and is mashing up everything in their way, you're also on the wrong side of history. You have to take a diplomatic approach, which is skillful maneuvering, and kudos to the leadership of the country for doing that.
I think you have put it very well, sir. You have put it very, very well. Yeah.
Thank you, Damien.
We go to the break. Willow.
Good evening, Chris. Yes, and good evening. Can't remember.
Ricardo Brooks.
Ricardo. Chris, yesterday in time I listened when you come on in the after 5, after news, and you break with the thing from the Bank of Jamaica.
Yes.
And the economy. Is it that your station alone get that information?
No. It came into our newsroom at 13 minutes after 5.
So only your newsroom get that? Because
no. Let me just say.
You can say no. It's a release from the Bank of Jamaica.
It's a general release from the Bank of Jamaica, sir.
Yes. So it's only your newsroom it's released, though?
No. We just said no. It's a general release.
But it's only your news I hear it on?
Oh.
Only your news I hear it on, Mr. Hughes.
Well, I can't speak for the other newsrooms.
Huh? Is it that we are living in a country that I don't know. But I'm not pleased. I'm not really happy because I think something like that every news station should carry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only your news I hear it on. All right. Next thing.
Yes, sir.
Because when I hear the Prime Minister put Keith Duncan in the Senate, two things come to mind. Keith Duncan chose Jamaica, and he chose Jamaica for maybe one reason, because he loved Jamaica and he wanted to see Jamaica go forward. And then I'm going to say something to you now, Cliff. You can tell me if what I'm saying is anything in it that is right or anything that is wrong. You said that there's a lot of PMP stalwart that reached the age and it's about to hang in them towel in the next 2 years or so. And I'm looking at one seat. The one seat come to mind. And I said, wonder if the Prime Minister have that seat in mind for Keith Duncan.
Which is?
And that is Delroy Chuck seat. That is Delroy Chuck seat, Mr. Hughes.
But what gives you the impression that Keith Duncan wants to be an elected legislator?
Keith Duncan loves Jamaica, you know. And if he wants to represent, I feel he wants to represent Jamaica. Not just in the Senate, but he wants to be an elected representative to represent Jamaica in Parliament. And I'm just looking at Delroy Chuck's seat.
Well, I see why you would say Delroy Chuck's seat. Yeah, it's Northeast St. Andrew. Keith is based in Kingston. Yeah, so I can see that. But I made the point, was it this morning or yesterday morning, that the Labour Party and Prime Minister Holness in the coming 2 years, 2.5 years, will have several vacancies and movements and changes to make. Because it's not only Delroy Chuck who would be into his last term, several others. Name them, Brooks. Come, Brooks, let me see how good you are. Name them.
Delroy
Chuck.
Yes,
Babsy Grange.
Edmund Bartlett. We expect Olivia Babsy Grange, Everett Warmington. That's 4. Marissa Dalrymple Philibert. Maybe.
I have him there in St. James.
Horace Chang has indicated that this might be his last hurrah as well.
But my strong feeling is that if Keith decides that he wants to enter Parliament, I feel that it's that seat he's going to represent. Yeah, that seat.
All right, William. Omalo.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, sir.
As someone that votes in this constituency, this seat is reserved for Nigel Clark when he comes back to Jamaica.
Which seat is that?
Delroy Chuck seat.
Oh?
Yeah.
What?
This is where I vote. This is where I live. So this seat is reserved for Nigel Clark when he comes back.
Who tell us that Nigel Clark coming back?
You don't worry about that. Next Jamaica Prime Minister.
You think I saw this thing go?
I saw this thing go. I saw this thing go.
Oh, right.
I saw the thing go. But, you know, Cliff, when I listen to the interview, I think Ricardo was having with those people regarding the Jamaican foreign minister sitting inside the United Nations, you know, it really let me think and say we have made the right decision when we vote for the Jamaica Labour Party to be in power. Why do I say so? Because diplomacy cannot be about feelings, it cannot be about ideology. And sometimes we have to measure the way we use our principles when we are dealing with things. That is what diplomacy is about. And we have to know that when they talk about South Africa, and they paint a big picture with South Africa like the Jews in Israel that controls most of the world finance and most of the world commodity markets and most of these things are the same things like dealing with the people, the white people in South Africa. Total different ball game. Total different strategy has to be used. Total different type of thinking has to be done. So when these people come and talk and just talk as if they lack the understanding of world geopolitics and these things and just talk based on their feelings, it just let me think, you know, are we really moving? Who are these people really qualification in when you bring on these people to speak about geopolitics in terms like this? Are they coming to speak about geopolitics? Are they coming to speak about their feelings? What are they really coming to speak about? Because we have to really understand and know the cards that are being played on the table and how to play against these cards. And when you look at the control and look at the President of the United States, his support for these people, and then you look at the little canoe in the water called Jamaica, what are they telling us? We're not going to, you see, Barbados is ahead of us because of the decision made in the 70s. Most of these countries are ahead of us because of the decision, the ideology that we took and stand proudly with while our people were suffering and running away and destroying the fiber of this country, where it leads to a lot of other ills as gang war and all different type of things and garrison communities and stuff like this. Yo, right at this point, man, we have a prime minister, and this prime minister is about developing Jamaica. And Jamaicans, some of the times, it's not the loud mouth, but the action that really counts. Yeah? So jumping on the stage and making all these pronouncements and talking all these type of things. Let me see the action, and your action really counts. We are going to the hill, and we're not crawling on our knees while we are crawling on our knees to the IMF inside hotel room in Montego Bay, begging them a deal. Yeah, while we're telling the people we're not crawling on our knees. Yo, listen, man, we are in a good position, Cliff, and it's a good thing. Me and you and Ricardo vote for this government to be back in office.
Yeah. Omalo, you do not know how I voted.
I was just speculating.
Jesus. You know what? Come off of the radio. Goodbye.
All right. Have a good day.
Oh, my God.
George.
Good evening.
Try, Omar.
You understand how set me up? I see people in done blacklist me already. George?
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I will just develop on a point. I remember watching a documentary one time. And Lee Kuan Yew was lecturing at one of them universities after his retirement and all of that. One of them top universities here in America. And he was developing a point saying that he was referring back to the 70s. And he was saying, he called most of them names, like Fidel Castro and some of those African leaders and some of those Central and South American leaders. He didn't call Michael Mann name for sure, but apparently he's in the group. He said that these men spend a whole lot of time running up and down throughout the world, ignoring, neglecting the development of their country, in the name of socialism. And to the long run, where are they now? Where are their economies now? And he's included. Michael Manley is included there. So I think this prime minister is one of the smartest prime minister. It's not a cowardice or anything like that. It's about being a diplomat. You cannot choose side and then you are supposed to be negotiating for both to be balanced. So he's doing the right thing. So don't follow the noise. He's naked and principle stand. Michael Manley had to his principle stand, yes, but he had to put on a suit and went to the IMF meeting. So tell me. So I for him, yes, him good and all of that and all of what, but I really don't put him on a pedestal. All right, that's for that. And then again, I heard that means we as a people, there is so much development, meaning that we're supposed to reach and mindset and whatever. We are not there. We're not getting there. And some of the very learned minds are not getting there. Just listen to those people who just spoke a while ago about the United Nations. And for me, when they're ready, I remember they giving Nigel Clark a whole beating on gone and all of that. I was on a site one time, and it will show you like the World Trade Organization, the development of the World Trade Organization. And when I look, they show you a chart, and when I look in that chart, that time, China was considered developing nation. That means they could have gotten the 5% loans, considered developing. You know what I see in that chart? It was a whole lot of Chinese diplomats that was employed in that chart. Look at China today. You think they were just going in there for a job? It's about positioning their country.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's a Nigel Clark gone overseas. Of course he's out there. He's doing his job, but he's looking out for Jamaica too. And we're so shallow-minded as a people. Still I say, Lord, we love Jamaica. Come on. Oh, one other point. I'll tell you this. I heard about this whole dialogue on keep down. I don't know whatever, but I'm going to tell you guys a developing point. In that mid to late 80s, there was a program with Michael Sharp in the night. Maybe Mr. Hughes can attend to that.
Yes.
In the night. And there was a gentleman there on Michael Sharp program. Always at Michael Sharp. Always at it. He was a Seago / her name? Sir Alexander Bustamante, labor rights. And he was unreserved about the whole thing. I remember Michael Sharp used to clash all the time. Call himself, maybe Mr. Hughes can say, or he can go back and put on him thinking shop. You know what the man used to call himself? He was an old gentleman. He used to call himself Man from the East. So it was a joke to listen to him and Michael Sharp. Time as in my defense, Tiago, whatever, so on and made. You know, who was he? Man from the East, meaning that he came from Harborview. You know who was he? P.K. Duncan's father. He was a staunch labor rights. But when they come on the program, in my defense, sometimes Michael Sharp, of course. Michael Sharp, what are you doing? Are we having a dialogue or a monologue? Michael Sharp, are you a patu or what? So I'm telling you, don't put Keith Duncan in this one bracket's the father. His father was just a product of the 70s, meaning that they were kind of radical, they were young and radical and whatever. But the generation before that, they were that Sir Alexander Bustamante labor rights, them. They after the 70s, they had to go undercover because the radicalism or whatever. So don't bother believe that this man just comes from this socialist family or whatever. So that's my input on the whole thing.
All right, thank you. There's a statement from the foreign minister. Let me just read the first paragraph. It's headlined, Minister calls out PMP spokesperson for dishonest start to management of portfolio following false allegation that government has been silent on Palestine. And it reads, Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, says it's disappointing but not surprising that the PMP has continued its trend of disingenuous approaches to foreign policy issues when it stated that the government of Jamaica has been silent on issues affecting the Middle East, including Palestine. The minister says it's a matter of widely reported record that Dr. Andrew Holness told the 80th session that Jamaica is deeply horrified by the devastating humanitarian consequences of the counter-offensives in the Palestinian territories. She says to ignore all that has been said and done, including the actual recognition of the state of Palestine last year, a step never taken by any previous administration, and to decry our non-participation in a performative action shows the image-focused and insubstantive approach of the PMP to foreign policy. It is a matter of prominent public record that Dr. Holness's government took the decision to recognize Palestine following deliberations at Cabinet in April 2024, and at that time stated unequivocally that Jamaica continues to advocate for a two-state solution as the only viable option to resolve the long-standing conflict and guarantee the security of Israel and uphold the dignity and rights of Palestinians. And it continues, Mrs. Scott Motley and the PMP do themselves and these complex issues a disservice when they suggest that the government has failed to speak strongly on the issue. It is unfortunate that the PMP has continued their pre-general election trend of trying to create their own narratives even when the facts clearly do not support their unequivocally false statements. Clearly they have not learned one of the lessons sent to them by the people of Jamaica on September 3 regarding their preference for truth, moderation, and reason. So, Kamina Johnson-Smith says, not true that the government has been silent on Palestine.
And she's correct.
Right.
It has not been silent.
Richard?
Greetings, Stefan and Ricardo. I was listening to you guys yesterday, and there was a caller who mentioned something about vote buying.
Yes.
And you asked the question that, how is it that people buy vote? How do they know that you vote their way when you go behind the polling booth?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to give you another side of that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when people when people buy your vote, there's a way to buy your vote that you don't vote. All right, let me explain that. They know you're going to vote for a particular party. They know that you lean in that direction. They come to you and they give you money and guarantee that you do not vote, that you do not go to the polling station. How do they do this? You see that ink? Remember, if you go to the polling station and your ink show on your finger, you can't vote because it says you vote already. Well, them dip your ink, you dip your finger from the night before and collect your money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, essentially, that's suppression.
Yes, that's voter suppression.
But
I have heard that does take place.
So that exists. Mm-hmm. That's one way of preventing the other person from getting the votes that they depend on.
So you target their supporters.
Yeah.
But them supporters, the jelly back
instead
them
of asking them to switch the vote, just
everybody has a price,
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a particular constituency that happened. Of course, the candidate lost. The incumbent lost. And I get tonight. So I can't prove it. But me hear
what parish?
The stories. If me tell you the parish, I don't know.
No, me hear, man. Which parish? I have a suspicion.
If me tell you the parish, no.
Portland.
But not even this. It's not Portland. It's not St. Mary. The one that me hear, the place that me hear it happen, is a central. Is a central parish. And I never call it parish. Call like me say the way the thing set up. If me call the parish, you're gonna know exactly, and me not have the proof, so I'm not going to put my head out there, so like that. All right. But so that another thing that I wanted to touch on. You know, say, I don't think with big beef, and I've not heard you or anybody else with it. You know that if you're born in a country of an expatriate mother and father, or a diplomat mother and father, you know that you generally take the nationality of the parents, right?
Uh-huh.
And based on that, you get the passport and birth certificate of the parents, right? Of the land of the parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you get a registration of birth in the country where you're born. Not a birth certificate, a registration of birth. But you're not a Jamaican if you're registered as born in Jamaica. You're not necessarily a Jamaican.
When you go that?
No. But just say it because when I hear nobody digging at that and mention that as something that is out there. That is. So if your mother and your father are, say, British, for argument's sake, and they're expatriate, diplomat. When you're born in a Jamaica, you have a registration of born in Jamaica. You're registered. You have to register as born somewhere, don't it?
Yes.
Yes, but once you're born in Jamaica, I mean.
No, you're not a Jamaican. You're registered as born in Jamaica.
So I know
you take the nationality.
No, hold on. So I know about diplomats.
Okay.
I don't know about expats, meaning somebody who is resident here.
Who works here.
Right. I don't know if that extends to them. I know it extends to diplomats.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I stand corrected. I don't hear you guys investigate it.
Look, all right, here's how I see that matter now. It was litigated in the general election. The Jamaican people considered it and they made a decision.
I know. But you guys needed to just dig into it. As a matter of fact, that thing that was held up in that something there was a registration of birth. That was my birth certificate. My argument done.
All right, hear you. I continue to say the journalists who were present that night should have examined that document. They did the fraternity a disservice by not asking to see that document again. I'm not saying that it wasn't Mr. Golding's birth certificate,
right?
But the journalists who were present should have asked to see it. Yeah,
should have gotten up out of the seat and got to him and said, let me see it.
Let me see. Yeah, Carl.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Mr. Hughes. Not those journalists that was there who would ask that question. Not those. That's why they never want George to be there. George was only timekeeper. I Ricardo would be the Scallion, a strip.
Time
a Scallion.
Anyhow, two little topic more on deal with tonight. A junior doctor from Clarendon here at the Maypen Hospital that get himself in a serious problem right now. You want to tell me, say, neither Dawes, Dayton Campbell, neither one of them run against Everett Warmington, never say nothing to him? If you know, say, if he is a junior doctor, he can do that. Well, all I have to say upon that one is that the government must check it off now and ask him to pay back the taxpayer money from the day the PMP put him up as a candidate. From that day, the money must checked off and he must pay back the taxpayer back their money. He must not get away like how Peter Phillips get away for 3 years. It is time for us to have some laws in our country that when people do things like that, the money come back in the treasury to do things.
All right, Carl.
No, and before you finish, I heard Mr. Philip Palwell this evening. We should even be into our parliament, but is the people of East Kingston put him there? So I have to upset.
What do you mean Philip Powell shouldn't be in the parliament?
I will leave
He's
that.
He's a duly elected member of parliament.
I will leave that.
For East Kingston. Was it now 7 terms, isn't it? Or 8?
I said that, but I will leave it there, Ricardo. Yeah. The people of East Kingston put him there, so I have to upset it. Well, if the government of Jamaica want to follow Mr. Palwell, that PMP member of parliament shadow things in the parliament, let the government go ahead and do that foolishness again.
Why is it foolishness?
If you remember how much time election called last year or 2 years ago, you remember how much time Al Julian Robinson called election because of what they could have get out of the Integrity Commission? We're not idiots in Jamaica, no, Ricardo.
Yeah, but what was it? I don't understand the link between them chairing parliamentary committees.
Ricardo, Mr. Palwell, and here the gentleman does I tell you, and I agree with that birth certificate. Somebody should have taken. I sorry that the Prime Minister never back out his phone fast and ask him to put it down and take a picture of it. That's what even the Prime Minister should have done. And put it up. That's all we can take a good look at it.
But you're not telling me why the PNP, the opposition, shouldn't chair parliamentary committees?
Mr. Ricardo, the PNP want to be in power. And you is around and see that this PNP is so hungry for power that they will mislead the country to get into power. If an opposition leader could have went on a national debate and know that he is lying to the world, say the Prime Minister is under investigation and have 28 bank book, when he knows it is a lie from the pit of hell, how could you trust those people to chair things? Ricardo, you know that.
Yeah, I don't agree with you though. I thought when Mr. Golding implemented it, it was a sound convention to bring into force.
By the time we have Peter Philip and Porter.
And if the parliament is to work as it should, then there should be opposition oversight.
Let me, and hold on, before me I run you now. There is 7 somebody shadowing my MP alone coming through the Ministry of Pernell.
Labor and Social Security?
Social and Security. Reverend Hines come through there. Peter Bunting come through there. And 5 other one come through the one ministry. So all of them are shadow through Colonel Charles Jr. Portfolio. Check it out careful.
All right, Carl.
Them only give the liquor boys them a job.
All right, Carl.
Thank you. Because then it is so bungled that all of them will be sitting saying, I wonder where Pernell gone today. I wonder if in the Montego Bay are in the overseas.
Me out of time, Carl. Good night. Jesus. Ah, boy.
That's it?
That is it. That is it.
Yeah, your callers.
That is it.
Thank you very much.
You know, your YouTubers seem to be suggesting that it was because Mr. Golding made opposition members chair parliamentary committees why his premiership was derailed. Nothing could be further from the truth.
No.
Ah, boy.
Thanks to our callers, our contributors on YouTube and our other platforms. Thanks to our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Anderson, and members of the news and production team. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
Night.